G'day YouTube, it's Turbo Tristan here, and today we're going to be checking out Anthony's 1996 BMW 323 sedan. This is his pride and joy, so stick around for the full feature on the car.
Hey, I'm Anthony, and this is my 1995 BMW E36 323i. I call him Sinatra. So with all my cars, I like to name them. So previously I had a Mazda 3 that I named Aurora because it was Aurora Blue. Wrote that one off, then I bought the exact same car. Called that one Lazarus because Lazarus Pit came back from the dead. And this one's called Sinatra because on the drive home, my girlfriend and I decided to name the car, but we couldn't find a name. So as we were driving from New South Wales down to Vic, we put the radio on and we thought, oh, let's go through the decades. Let's go 50s, 60s, 70s. And I think we hit the 50s and I thought Sinatra, and it stuck.
Definitely suits it.
Yeah, that's the idea, you know, just a classy car and gets a classy name. It's a car I picked up in 2019 while I was, you know, working away from home. So I thought I'd get a project car just to keep me going. And this is it today, 1 year later. It's 2020 now. So this is my little COVID project.
So how much has it changed in a year?
Oh, I mean, a lot of the things I've done have just been really subtle. So there's no crazy mods. Granted, there are mods, like for example, I've lowered the car, I've put new wheels on, I've done a cold air intake, you know, your usual NA mods.
Yeah.
But for the most part, my vision has always been a OEM plus kind of vibe, much like the Singer Porsches, like heavily inspired by them, but hard to reach that kind of.
We all need to make do with what we've got and the budget that we've got to live with.
Exactly. I mean, I do what I can. I like to say this car's proudly sponsored by the Wrecking Yard in Blacks because I literally source out everything I need from that place.
You would never know by looking at the car.
Yeah, recently got a full respray as well, so I guess that's really freshened up the car, the old car, I should say.
So how did the respray come about, and is it just a plain respray, or was there anything special that you got done, custom bodywork?
Yeah, so it was a closed door respray. One thing I really didn't like was the moldings on the side of the door. So if you look at my car, it's actually got no more side moldings at all. I think it's a cleaner look, and it also helps kind of widen up make the car look a bit wider too, just because the fenders seem to really pop out now and they're a bit more pronounced. Yeah,
they've got a nice body line to them anyway, so getting rid of those side moldings really cleaned up the look of the car.
Yeah.
Tell us about the front bar. Is that like an M Sport bar, or
so
is
that's a common mod amongst these cars? A lot of people seem to get these M style front bars for them. So I've got the front going in. I've got the M Sport bar at the front as well as the back. The front, you can really tell the difference when you compare them side by side, but with the back it's really hard to tell which one's an M Sport and which one's just a stock standard one.
Take us around the back and show us the difference, because I don't know. I'm not up to date on the old school Beamers.
I mean, so with this rear bar, I think with the M Sport one, it's a bit wider. Like it's a bit more aggressive. It's really hard to tell, but they are slightly wider, and it's got that fairing, it just angles out a bit more.
Oh, that little flare.
Yeah, just really subtle, and it's also got the diffuser in the middle as well.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
But otherwise, yeah.
And are those tail lights stock?
Yes, they are. They come stock, but I've changed them to the clear because mine came with the amber ones originally. I believe in the US they come stock with the clears, and the common mod to do there is to go ambers because it's different, whereas we get ambers stock and then we go clear.
So you go the opposite way.
Yeah. I have a theme going which is a gold theme that runs throughout the car. It started with my coilovers, which are BR golds, and they got champagne gold accents. So from there, I knew my next mod was going to be Powerflex polyurethane bushings, and they're purple. So I thought a good contrast between purple would be gold. So, and then it just made sense. So if you look around the car, there's hints of gold here and there. So for example, the subframe, the calipers, I've got the bolts holding my license plate, they're gold as well.
What are your future plans for the car?
Future plans? The end goal for me is always to do an S54 from a E36 M3 in, but those engines are really hard to find and they cost a lot of money. And I don't know, I kind of like the purity of the M52 that's in there at the moment now, and I think that's just me being lazy. But you know, it
does sound good, and you know, it's not always about top speed. These cars are really good at handling anyway. So you know, you can always, the Japanese motto is work with what you've got and work on that. So that's what a lot of people try to do, and it helps you stay to a budget, I think. I agree.
And also, like, I think getting this car has also like made me not want to chase top speed, because the slower I drive, the more people turn their heads, and the longer they get to look at the car, you know.
That's right.
I had an SP23 before this, and everyone thought it was an MPS because I just did a few mods here and there, and everyone would try to race me, and then my ego gets in the way too. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Go nowhere, and then you get like a bunch of Honda boys going, oh, I chopped an MPS. Realistically, they chopped like a 2.3 litre. Nothing.
Those pesky Honda boys.
Yeah. So I mean, this Euro car, it's allowed me to be a bit more mature. I think it's a very mature car. Yeah.
You're getting used to that comfort life. Tell me about the rims and what happened with those. How'd you get them?
So
what's done to them?
So these rims are actually, I don't know. I feel like this whole car came like at the right time, kind of thing. Because I remember when I was looking at wheels, I wanted something that was gunmetal in the center, but also had a dish.
Yeah,
and
I
was thinking of getting Workmeisters for this, but then these popped up. A guy in Melbourne was selling them, so I just hit him up, and yeah, he just sold them to me, and I was like, okay, sweet. So these are RCO 9s at the rears, which have a bit more of a dish, but the fronts are RCO 4s, which have less of a dish. So these rear ones come off the E39, whereas those ones are stock off the E36. The previous owner had them rebuilt, so yeah, I got really lucky with them, and I do like them on the car. I think they're period correct.
I think so, and this mesh style wheel, it's the DTM look all the way through, and that's what I love.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever sell these wheels too. I mean, I'll get another set because I like to always rotate between summer and winter. I like to have a pair for summer and a pair for winter. Just like having like a second pair of shoes, just spices up the car, because I feel like the wheels really offset the car and it gives it a whole new personality. So yeah.
So what were the other wheels you're going to probably do?
Oh, I want throwing stars now. The BMW throwing stars. You'll know, people who know BMWs, they know what the throwing stars are. They look really good.
If anyone's got some throwing stars, hit us up in the comments. We're looking for some now.
Hit me up maybe next year.
Okay, Anthony, so tell me about the engine mods. What ones you do have, what ones you don't have?
Okay, so realistically the only mod I got is the cold air intake. That's something I just made myself. Yeah, so I got a cold air intake in there. I've got this strut bar as well that came with the car. No idea what brand it is. I kind of liked it without the strut bar to begin with. Like, I think it looks a lot cleaner. But then, I don't know, once I took it off, I realized how poorly it handled around like the roundabouts. So I was like, I'll put it back on.
Yeah, it's one of those mods. These actually do a lot of things for your handling, and it makes the steering a lot stiffer, because when you do turn the wheel, the chassis doesn't bend.
It doesn't warp as much under
that little bit, which means your steering's more precise.
Like, I've definitely felt the difference having it off versus having it on. And another reason I didn't like it too, because it looked really worn out. So I've gave it a good polish. I've replaced the hardware. So these used to be an Allen key kind of head with a mismatched bolt on each side.
Yeah.
So they were always a pain in the ass to get off, especially when I was doing the coilovers, for example. So I left it off for a bit, and then, I got bored, so I polished it up, put it back in. And I think it looks really good now. I think it belongs.
I think it does.
Next
matches your alloy radiator that you've got there.
Next kind of mod, if you want to call it that, I've got a Mishimoto radiator in there. These cars are definitely known for having cooling problems, so one of the best things to do is to sort out all the cooling components, so the water pump, the radiator, the fan even, get that done. And one of the first things I wanted to do was do that so I can have the reliability. A common mod that people do is they delete the clutch fan and put a E-fan in.
Yep.
I had that in for maybe a week, but I didn't like it. It just felt, I don't know, it just felt funny to me. Like the throttle, it was a lot lighter on the throttle, so it picked up a lot quicker, but it just felt really weird. Like the balance wasn't there, and once I took it out, I realized the balance wasn't there, so I put the clutch fan back in.
It's a common misconception with clutch fans. The engineers, the guys in the white coats that designed these cars all those years ago that spent decades at uni,
yeah,
they knew what they were doing.
Exactly.
And unless you have a reason to take it off, you really should leave your stock
I agree,
fan
100%.
there.
You know, OEM is best, as they say, and no truer statement has been said. So yeah, but otherwise, just the Mishimoto radiator. I guess so far it's so good. Got some HIDs in there as well.
I just saw those, yeah.
Not a fan of, you know, the really amber looking headlights.
Yep.
I think they it's period correct, but it looks a bit, I don't know, it's not my style. I like a nice bright kind of light. Yeah, so I guess I've also been a JDM boy in the past, so I always like the yellow foggies.
Okay, so one thing that comes up quite a lot in the car scene nowadays is 90s cars and how they're going up in value.
Yeah.
And I just want to learn a bit more about the European scene and what this was worth when you bought it, and what's happening to the value of these cars now.
You hit me where it hurts. You hit me where it hurts. So I got this car in June 2019, and I paid 6.2k for this, so 6,200. It was listed at 7,500, but I talked him down. I bought this in Newcastle in New South Wales. So when I bought this car, I did all the things that you shouldn't do. I bought it at night, sight unseen, and I didn't even test drive it. The owner just drove me to McDonald's. I said, yep, I'll buy it. And I gave him the money, signed the contract, and then I just drove back home. What's
happening in the world of 90s cars? Where do you think the value is going to go? Okay. Is it going to be an investment? Will you keep it for a long time, or what's the plans for the car?
So I definitely plan on keeping this car forever. You know, I put so much time into this car that I think it's got something money can't buy. It's got a lot of sentimental value into it now, because I've poured a lot of time into this car. In terms of value, due to COVID-19 at the moment, these cars have gone heaps, like they've gone up so much in value. And it's kind of, some people are asking ridiculous amounts of money for these cars, but they are slowly climbing. E30s, for example, are pretty expensive now for what they are. Even like the 318s, which are the smaller 4-cylinder engines, they go for quite a bit as well. If I were to sell this, how much do I think I'll get for it? Realistically, I will probably get 12,000 if I'm lucky. 6. Mark was saying 6. No way 6. I would never sell it for 6.
So you've doubled your money.
I reckon
in a
I've
year.
doubled my money, yeah. But I haven't put too much money into it actually, because like I said, I've sourced out a lot of second-hand parts for the car, so the costs have been kept low in that sense, but the money I've spent on mods have, I guess, kind of balanced it out, so it's still pretty expensive. Yeah, I think 12. I'd get 12 for this if I'm lucky. Probably get roasted as well for a bit, because you know it's just a 323, nothing special, not an M3, not a 328. But at least it's not a 4-cylinder. Look at you 4-cylinder boys. I could be wrong.
Could be wrong. Man, everything's going up nowadays. You'll probably get a Toyota Starlet for like 12 grand soon, the way the 90s cars are going up.
Exactly. Like a car from 2005 is like 15 years old now, and that just blows my mind, because I think 2005 was like 5 years ago. So a 5-year-old
it feels
car.
Like it,
but it definitely feels like it.
Yeah, no.
But you know, I actually love the 90s aesthetic. They don't make cars like this anymore.
They definitely don't. I love the dashes and the plastics and the trims, like where you put your arm on 90s cars compared to current cars. It's just rock hard plastic.
Yeah, and one thing I don't like about BMW is their interiors. I think they're not the best. But you know, it's got a nice appeal. Like every time I step into the cockpit, I feel like I'm in a time machine. Hello MTV, welcome to my crib. So this is my cockpit, as I like to call it. So yeah, if you look at my gauge cluster, I've added chrome rings to it, as well as the red needles. So with the red needle mod, it's a common, I guess, mod that people try to replicate and try to copy the M3s in. But the way most people do it is they use a red Sharpie and color it in. But for me, I don't like anything too permanent, because I like to always revert it in case I do sell it, even though I say I'm not going to sell it. So what I did was I cut vinyl that fit the needles and I just stuck it on. It works. It looks great. It looks better than having a red Sharpie, honestly. And I don't think I can live with myself if I did that. Other mods, I've got some metal pedals. I've always liked metal pedals in my cars. I think it just looks neat.
Are they aftermarket or are they from another Beamer?
Nah, they're aftermarket. They're just off eBay, but they replicate the AC Schnitzer kind of style pedals.
Yep.
They don't fit 100%. So if you're thinking of getting them, they don't fit properly. Like for example, the last two bolts on the bottom don't fit. They don't drill through. So I had to make a bracket and fabricate that. Speaking of fabrication, I've made that DIY racing floor mat. I saw one of those made on Instagram, so I thought I'd give it a go with some spare sheet metal I had. Turned out all right. I'm like, I can't complain. Protects my carpet, looks decent. An interesting mod here. So I've also replaced the entire carpet in my car because when I bought it, it had a hole in it, and I've also retrimmed the whole headliner as well. I forgot I did that.
That looks awesome,
yeah,
actually. Did you do that yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
They're prone to sagging, and mine was cream originally, so I blacked out the whole
That's awesome. What's it? Is that Alcantara?
It's just faux suede, honestly.
Oh, really?
Spotlight, yeah.
Damn,
so yeah,
that looks awesome.
I honestly forgot I did that. So I've done it twice. The first time I did it in cream because I tried to match the color, but I didn't bring material with me, so I guesstimated and it was way off. And then the cream just showed up all the dirt, so I was like, ah.
I see we've got Darth over here.
Yeah, so he's a mascot that was in my old car, so I've literally just put him back in today because I found him again. If I can't get Vaders, which are the seats that M3s come with, I'm gonna have a Vader in one way or another, and that's my Vader. So something unique about this car is the armrest. So a lot of cars have this, but I've retrofitted a E46 one, so I got a clamshell as well that opens up. Not sure how many people have that.
That's out of an E46?
Yeah, that's out of an E46.
Damn.
Yeah, it was too hard to find one of these when I was looking for one for an E36. So I bought an E46 one and I tried to fabricate it and make it work, and it now works. Also retrofitted the 18 button OBC, which is this little unit here. I just had a clock originally, but I really wanted the computer because I think it looks really 90s and it just matches the interior really nicely. So I did that.
So what do you do for tunes? Just the radio?
I
or?
put the stock radio on. Yeah, literally the stock radio.
For the purity.
Exactly. Every time I listen to the I listen to a lot of classical music in this and Gold FM because it fits the car.
All the golden oldies.
Yeah, literally. Something subtle. I've done these kick panels with the chrome as well. Like a lot of my mods are very subtle.
Did you make those?
No, but they came off another car and I just found them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first time I did it, I took them off a coupe and I cut it to fit, but then I found ones for sedan that fit from the wreckers for cheap, so I did it. And
how good are the wreckers?
Amazing, freaking amazing. And silver door handles and silver accents here and there. For example, this collar on the steering wheel, I just painted it silver. Just I don't know, just to break up the black.
It looks modern, I reckon.
I try. You know, like the thing is, they're very modern, but they're also very retro, and I kind of try to keep that aesthetic as well. So
that brings us to the end of the video. So I hope you guys liked the feature. If you have a car and you want to get your car featured, reach out to me. Otherwise, like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.